Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Florida.
Tonight at Marlins Park, it's a matchup on the mound. Nationals ace and three-time All-Star Steven Strasburg takes the bump for the Nats as they try to claw their way back into contention. The Marlins counter with their own budding ace, Sandy Alcantara, who looks to shine again in start number 4. Strasburg and Alcantara duel next on Fox Sports Florida. Hi, everybody, and welcome to South Florida. It's the last of this short 2-game series here at Marlins Park as the Nationals in town, as the Marlins are here in this last homestand of the season. A day off tomorrow. Reds in town over the weekend, but tonight a terrific pitching matchup. Sandy Alcantara goes for the Marlins, and it's Steven Strasburg on the mound for the Washington Nationals, a team that still has a sliver of hope when it comes to postseason contention. With that, we say hi again, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. Yesterday, we came on the air saying, well, thank goodness we're home, a rough road trip, and today we're saying, thank goodness we're home. They started with a win.
Well, they certainly did. Maybe kept some of that momentum from that last day of that 10-day road trip, carried it over to last night, got a nice win. Well, listen, maybe why not go out and finish off the Nats? You can maybe drive that last nail into the coffin. You talked about that sliver of hope. I'm telling you, they're running out of time, and they got their big guy on the mound in Strasburg tonight, but so are the Marlins. They got their guy in Alcantara going.
Yeah, great pitching matchup. Let's start with Steven Strasburg, certainly a guy who has been injury-riddled throughout his career, but when healthy and when facing the Marlins, it's just about a season's worth, 29 starts and a 3.04
Well,
ERA.
16 wins, career high for him against any organization. Now, of course, he starts more against the National League East, but still that's more than any other team, so you know he's had a lot of success, and he's coming off a really strong start against the Philadelphia Phillies. 9 strikeouts. The velocity's been down a little bit. That fastball's been hit a little bit more this year, but I'll tell you what, the changeup and the curveball have been outstanding for him. He's still putting together, still viewed as one of the better pitchers in the National League East.
Yeah, and again, he's been very good since coming off the DL his last time on the disabled list, that is. For the Marlins, Sandy Alcantara goes. The last couple of times we've seen him, I think we've left the booth having to pick our jaws up off the floor. He's been that good.
Now, he really has been impressive. He's gone longer than we would have anticipated. He has been more, well, let's just say he's had more poise than we anticipated. You know, and I think a lot of that's going back to his first big league start earlier this season. But again, one thing that stands out to me, and I think this is going to be a great challenge tonight for Sandy Alcantara. He has been extra good against the lefties. Only 2 hits allowed this season against left-handed batters. What do we know about the Nationals? They got some of the best left-handed hitters in Soto, in Harper, in the game. They've got 5 lefties in the lineup tonight, so it'll be a good challenge for them.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how this one goes tonight. Strasburg and Alcantara, a really nice pitching matchup to unfold in the last of this 2-game set. Now, what can we expect from Sandy? We'll check in with the guys in center field, and they'll scout him next. Sandy Alcantara on the mound tonight. Lots to like about this kid, so let's break him down out to center field and check in with the guys.
Thanks, Paul. 3 starts, 3 earned runs for Sandy Alcantara. Boy, a lot to like, no kidding. Talk a little more about what you've seen from 2-2.
Especially of late, and what I really like, and I've harped on all year, is the breaking ball. Where are the breaking balls with some of the Marlin pitchers? Well, Alcantara has one, and here it is right here. This is the grip. More of a curveball than a slider. It's a little back door to a lefty. He can throw that for strikes, and he also can expand the zone. And then we got the 4-seam fastball, which has a little ride away from a lefty, a little sink down and in to a righty. And here's that nasty changeup, about 90 miles an hour. He holds it as a 2-seamer, middle finger, ring finger on the seams, and you see that go away from the lefty. He can control those 3 pitches. Like the last 2 starts, outstanding.
Coming off a heartbreaker in New York, he pitched terrific, 7 innings, gave up just 2 hits and 2 runs, should have won the ball game. You know what? He's got something to live up to. The Marlins pitching staff has an ERA just a little over 3 the last 21 games at home, so they've really pitched well at home. And I think when a pitcher goes up against a guy like Strasburg, Alcantara knows, he's read a little bit about Steven Strasburg. His game might go up a little bit. He's fun to play behind, too, if you're an infielder.
Yeah, he's got that moxie. You like to see a little cockiness, maybe you could call it, on the mound. And he so far has backed it up in his 3 early starts. He'll get start number 4 against the team he's going to see a lot of. And that's the NL East foe, Washington Nationals. Marlins playing well of late against the Nats. Paul, Holly, and Jess will detail that. Ball game coming up.
Welcome back. Ready for baseball here at Marlins Park. Nationals and Marlins. Still another series between these two. It'll be in D.C. next week, but for now, the last of 2. Adam Eaton leads things off. Eaton, Turner, and Harper due up. Anthony Rendon has been on base in a career-long number of games. He is at 26 right now, as Rendon also sitting on 99 career home runs. Rendon in the 4 spot today in front of a likely Rookie of the Year, or at least a candidate, and that would be Juan Soto. The 0-1 pitch to Eaton swung on and missed, and quickly Alcantara is ahead, 0-2.
Yeah, off to a good start. 2 pitches, 2 strikes. Alcantara, good stuff. 6'4". He's a big kid, 23 years old, 4th start of the season. Coming off back-to-back 7+ inning starts against the Phillies and Mets.
Test that outside corner against Eaton and just misses outside. A ball and 2 strikes.
We're seeing fastball, sinker, slider, change, occasional curveball. Boy, oh boy, that slider has been good.
That one poked over the infield defense, and Eaton has himself a leadoff single here in the first inning.
All right, let's get you the Marlins defensively for tonight's ball game. Dean getting the start in left field, Brinson in center, Sierra in right. Brian Anderson making his 145th start of the season over at third base, his 56th start at third, but leads the Marlins in starts this season. Riddle, Rojas, O'Brien, and Muto behind the plate.
Here's Trey Turner. Strike at 95 miles an hour from Alcantara to Turner, who in last night's ball game was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Pretty solid numbers across the board, including the major league leading 39 stolen bases for him. He takes low and away. Now the interesting thing, and it's certainly impressive from a Marlins standpoint, talking about Brian Anderson, but for Trey Turner, could become just the second player in Washington history to play in all 162 games. So he is, and at shortstop, mind you, in this day and age where it seems like Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak, nobody's going to get a third of the way to it. I feel it's important to point out those guys who could play literally every day. You don't see it that much in today's game.
That's right. It's certainly a different perspective, generally speaking. Talk about, you know, the length of the number of players you keep on your roster and keeping them involved, especially in the National League. You see a lot more of it.
This one popped up right below us, and it's still 2-2.
You know, bench players in today's game generally get 200 at bats, if that's your point. There aren't really just the guys who, kind of like Ichiro did last year, that were really there just to pitch hit every day. You don't see too much of that anymore.
Misses low, but again at 97 miles an hour from Alcantara. One thing that we have followed, at least in his last 2 starts for sure, and probably will throughout the night, is the amount of times that he works above 95 miles per hour. It's not that, oh, we're blown away by the numbers, because everybody throws hard, it seems now, but just the way that he kind of keeps that velocity throughout the game. He goes to it right there at 95 on the inside corner and retires Turner for his first strikeout of the game.
Well, I think just as important as the velocity, and we're going to show it to you one more time. We love talking 95 plus. Look at the motion. Look at the movement on the pitch as it enters the hitting zone. Again, this is what has impressed so many people around the game of baseball, is not the fact that he throws hard, which, as you mentioned, a few more guys in the game seem to do. It's the movement that he's got on his sinker.
So it's Bryce Harper coming to the plate. Harper at 97 RBIs, 97 runs on the season. Could become the 6th player since 2014 with 100 in each of those 2 categories. And believe it or not, and certainly I followed Bryce Harper, as a lot have, throughout his career, he's never gotten to 100 RBIs. He got as close as 99 in 2015 when he won the National League MVP. But with 97 and a couple of weeks to go, certainly Harper has a shot at an even 100 in what could be his last year.
Hard to believe he
DC.
wouldn't. I mean, just the way the Nats are rolling right now offensively. I mean, and we know RBIs a lot of times, not just the guy who's driving them in, but the guys getting on in front of them. I mean, everybody seems to be kind of doing their thing with the Nats right now. So it's going to be a great test for Alcantara tonight. We talked about the 2 great starts he's made against the Phillies. Good offense, and certainly the Mets have been playing better baseball, but you're not going to run into a hotter mix of hitters right now than the Nationals. I love the challenge of the lefties. That's one thing that Alcantara has played up really well. Now, of course, Eaton led off the game with a base hit, but that happened in New York too, so I'm not too worried yet.
Sure. Harper 0 for 4 last night, 3 strikeouts. fouls this one down the left field line and out of play. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Eaton off of first as Alcantara set to deal a 1-2 to Harper. In the dirt, blocked by Real Muto. Doesn't get far enough away for the speedy Eaton to advance 2-2. Home plate umpire Brian Knight. Roberto Ortiz, the first base umpire. Crew chief Jerry Davis over at second, and Pat Hoberg is the umpire at third. That one line foul down the left field line. The one thing we saw with Harper last night was with 2 strikes. Similar defensive alignment. Marlins had 3 on the right side of the infield. Shortstop playing traditionally where the shortstop plays. Wide open left side with 2 strikes. He tried to bunt.
Yeah.
Not saying he should do that now, just pointing it out for those that may have missed it. Another 2-2 pitch. The count runs full. They wanted to see how Alcantara faced the lefties tonight, and Harper is giving him a run for his money.
He certainly is, driving up the pitch count here in the first inning, but Alcantara's not backing down. He's not giving in. You haven't seen anything splitting the plate.
The first walk issued by Alcantara, and the Nationals have 2 on and 1 out. Now, Washington's got one of their hotter hitters coming to the plate, and Anthony Rendon, as I mentioned, a 26-game on-base streak, hitting .346 in that span with 5 homers and 17 RBIs. On the year, .304, 21 home runs, 77 ribbies.
You have to be very careful with Rendon. He can handle velocity from righties. We've seen it throughout his career. I think it's interesting tonight. You've got two of the better right-handed hitters in tonight's ball game going up against right-handed pitching. In fact, Rendon leads the National League, .311 batting average against right-handed pitching. JT Realmuto in third at .301.
That's through the left side, a base hit. Eaton being held at third. And the Nats will have the bases loaded and just 1 out here in the first inning.
Well, we talked about it. Again, Sandy's fastball moves towards the right-handed hitter, arm side run. 2-seamer, 4-seamer, even his changeup does a little bit of it as well. So if a right-handed hitter, much like Rendon, can get in there and handle the velocity, he's got a chance to pick up a hit or 2 tonight.
So an early jam here for Alcantara. They're loaded with 1 out, and a very tough hitter, the rookie, the youngster, the teenager, Juan Soto. Called ball 1. It was right in the bottom of the zone. Not sure if the fact that Romeo couldn't handle it or not was the reason why it wasn't called a strike. Nonetheless, 1-0. 1-0 rather.
Be careful. Soto's having himself one of those seasons. He's a rookie. He's 4 for 10 with the bases loaded.
Overall 302, which is second on the team. But Soto leads the club with a .417 on base percentage and leads the club with a .527 slugging percentage. 19. Zimmerman, Rendon, Harper, Turner. All these guys on this team. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Soto, and he could not hold up. A strikeout there for Alcantara and a big second out.
Well, I think big is maybe not strong enough word. the way this Nats lineup's been going with the guy who's in the box, all things considered, he most definitely went around. 98 miles an hour with heavy sink to the outside edge. Huge pitch for Alcantara.
Now Ryan Zimmerman. First pitch for strike one to Zimmerman. He was 1 for 4 with another double last night. He's got 9 of them in the last 3 weeks. And Alcantara may get out of it. A high pop-up on the infield. Rojas makes the play, and Alcantara works himself into a bases-loaded one-out jam. Gets out of it. Marlins will face Strasburg next. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your South Florida Toyota dealers. A nice day here in Miami as we work our way into evening. The Marlins starting lineup is presented to you by Southwest. JT Riddle at the top, Miguel Rojas, JT Realmuto. Peter O'Brien is right in front of Brian Anderson, who hits 5th, and then Brinson Dean Sierra right in front of Alcantara. So it is Steven Strasburg on the mound for the Washington Nationals. His first pitch is in there for a called strike. Strasburg is 20th start on the year. Again, when he's been in there, he has been effective. It's just a matter of getting him to that 30 start mark in a year.
Well, the 3.87 ERA, I think, is a bit of a regression, I think, in most people's opinion. The reason why I say that, I'll give you his career stat line. 92 in 52. That's 40 games over 500 with a 3.14 ERA. So when you see 3.87, you say, what's going on this year? Maybe a little regression. 3-time All-Star. Gets 1 strikeout. after 3 pitches. Let's go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report of Steven Strasburg, and certainly a lot to tell, and we'll tell you more as this game goes on. But it's been a Marlins match. He's got Marlins mastery working for him. 16-7, as I mentioned, the 16 wins, most against any organization. 3.04 ERA career against the Marlins in his last 4 starts. How about a .67 ERA? Down year. Now, I've kind of hinted at it already, but the one thing that does stand out, at least to my eyes, a .413 slugging percentage against. Now, that would be an all-time high in any one season. OPS of .712, also a career high.
Rojas down the right field line, and Eaton runs out of room.
And pay attention to this as the game goes on. You know, Tommy had mentioned it during the pregame show, and it's a fact. Steven Strasburg just isn't throwing nearly as hard as he once did early in his career, but the one thing that does stand out, the change in the curveball, still big pitches. Changeup, 167 batting average against the curveball, 179, and he's got 80 strikeouts on the season between the 2 pitches.
And he got Riddle on the changeup for the first out. Rojas in on his hands, over to Turner with a little jump throw across the diamond to get Rojas 2 up and 2 down.
We'll hustle through and get you to the Nationals defensively. I feel like I need to speed up here. Here we go. Soto, Harper, Eaton, Rendon, Turner, Defoe, Zimmerman, Wieters behind the plate. I point him out tonight. How about a 34-24 record when he's behind the plate? A lot of conversation with the Nats catching, and we'll see where that ultimately goes this winter. 10 games over 500. Nobody else has a winning record except Matt Wieters. Carry 3 catchers, Kieboom, Severino, and Wieters. Wieters the only one with a winning record.
JT Realmuto fouls this one back. Now, the Nationals know about it. The players themselves know about it. Remember this guy right here, JT Realmuto, had a walk-off hit when the Nationals were in town earlier this season after the game. Someone asked Bryce Harper what he thought about it. Said that wouldn't happen if he was playing for us. This one now to right field. Eaton on the track makes the catch. And a 7-pitch first inning for Steven Strasburg.
Inning. Nationals have a couple hits. Marlins still working on Strasburg. I'll tell you what, that first inning's impressive. We love talking velocity around here, but one thing that Sandy Alcantara possesses, as you see, you follow that little yellow tracer, tons of movement. My goodness. High velocity, lots of movement. 97 right there on Zimmerman. That pitch to me was so big. I was thinking back to last night's ball game. Zimmerman took a couple of fastballs for strikes on the inside part of the plate, and to see JT kind of slide in there after getting a slider away, just an absolutely perfect pitch, perfect spot, and a huge out with the bases loaded.
Matt Wieters to lead things off here in the second inning. Takes the ball outside. Wieters, Defoe, and the pitcher Strasburg. 7, 8, 9 due up here in the second for the Nats, who left the bases loaded in inning number 1. It's like the old adage, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And it's kind of like the same thing with his pitches. Where the hitter thinks they're going to be, they are not.
Well, and at the same time, and I think we saw a little bit of it as that inning went on, you start to guess location. You may know that the fastball is coming in a hitter's count, but at the same time, you're saying to yourself, okay, where is that 97 actually going to end up when it moves? Because it's not straight out of his hand. Now, one thing that I think Alcantara is going to learn, and we've seen, you know, at times been a little erratic, even in the 2 great starts that he's had back, the 2-seamer to the outside edge. Now, there's a pretty good example right there. He wants to hit it, but at 95 miles an hour, he's got to find a way to hit that edge and not lose it off the plate.
Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, it is the final homestand of the 2018 season, and for the Marlins, it is all about saying thank you to the fans. So that is the theme that we are going to stick with for our email and Twitter Tuesday. Here's how you can get in touch with us. Send those emails to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Your tweets can go to @foxmarlins, and be sure to use the hashtag thank you fans. And guys, throughout the course of the broadcast, we're also going to be telling fans about all of the cool promotions that the Marlins will be doing for this final homestand.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. Lots of cool stuff on tap at Fox Marlins. FoxMarlins@gmail.com, @SeverinoMLB, @HollyTime28. You can tell us how great we've been throughout the season, how we've just so thoroughly made your summer so wonderful.
You're so charming.
I'll tweet that to you, Holly. How about that? Does that work?
Retweet.
No, but we do appreciate the support for me, at least. For us, I believe it has been a really fun year for us, all getting to know each other up here, and glad that fortunately we've had a lot of support on social media. Appreciate that. As Wilmer Defoe with a line drive base hit up the middle, and the Nats have 2 on to begin inning number 2.
A pretty good example of what the Nats have possessed here in the second half. We've told you, in fact, I've talked to a few people about this, of just how much the Nats have been carried by their offense in the second half. It's clearly been on display here one time through the lineup.
3 hits and a couple of walks. Lots of traffic early on for Alcantara to work around. A bunt situation here for Strasburg. Marlins expect it. Strasburg bunts. Back to Alcantara, looks at third before getting the shore out. Both runners move up, 1 away.
Join the Marlins on Thursday for social media night when they take on the Reds. Purchase a ticket package and receive a social media night t-shirt. The opportunity to have your social media content run pregame on Marlins Vision. For tickets, visit marlins.com/social media.
Back to the top of the order for Adam Eaton. Single in the first and a single in the second. That'll bring home Wieters. Throw in from Sierra. Everybody moves up 90 feet. To third goes Defoe, and it's 1-0 Nats.
Well, first time through the lineup, we've seen a little different slider. Those first 2 starts, you see the red dot, and you see the spin. Eaton kind of going down. It's the pitch location for me that is going to make Eaton a very dangerous hitter. That situation right there, he's looking anything out over the plate that he can hit or drive right away. Gets it on the first pitch. Defoe's base hit to center field on the slider as well.
So it's Trey Turner, the strikeout victim in the first. Bunts up the line, and O'Brien has essentially no play. Looked like he tried to maybe swipe tag Turner on the way by and couldn't get to it and flip it quick enough to get Defoe, who scores, to make it 2-0.
Now Turner went at this more like a safety squeeze, so the idea was to give himself up, but ends up laying down a fantastic bunt. How about back? Well, 2 bunts in your last 3 hitters. Just kind of sets it all up.
That should really come as no surprise. Of course, Dave Martinez, a disciple of Joe Madden, and that first and third kind of bunt situation is right out of the Joe Madden playbook.
Yeah.
And a meeting on the mound. Juan Nieves out to talk with Alcantara.
You do wonder if that first inning, as taxing as it was, as much emotional energy that it took to get through it unscathed, costing him here in the second inning. We mentioned the number of breaking pitches that have ended up out over the plate. It's the point that I kind of go back to, and I made a note of it early, the Harper at bat, that 8-pitch at bat where he was fouling off the fastball and kind of grinding out Alcantara, ended up drawing a walk. Ended up being a long inning, obviously. Here's Harper once again. Runners on first and second, and a chance to do more.
That one low to Harper, who walked his first trip. Well, certainly not to say that the first two, or I should say the last two starts, the first two since being recalled, were necessarily easy for Alcantara, but it will be interesting to see how he handles a little bit of adversity, some early traffic, maybe not his best control or command or good plate discipline on the other side. Whatever it might be, it will be interesting to see kind of how he handles it tonight.
Well, and he's already being tested at soon to be his 40th pitch, and we've talked about it against the left-handed hitters. As good as he had been coming into tonight, he cannot command the outside corner right now.
2 balls and no strikes now to Harper after they check on the runner over at second, Adam Eaton.
The big problem that he's running into tonight through 2 innings is the fact that he cannot get ahead of these left-handed hitters on the outside edge. He's just missed. It's too much run. It's kind of exploding out of the zone.
Well, his last 2 starts were his second and third of his big league career, and just 3 runs allowed. That's the Miami Marlins starters over the course of time. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot, but already 2 earned runs here tonight. And at 40 pitches with just 1 out in the second. Here is the 3-0 pitch to Harper. And that is ball 4. The 3rd walk thus far tonight for Alcantara, and 2nd time that he has walked Harper.
Now, and he's missing in the same way, and this is the talk about the test, the ability to get command back. Currently, he's really struggling to get ahead of hitters and find the outside corner consistently.
Nationals have him loaded again. Here is Anthony Rendon.
12 batters faced, 8 have reached the Nationals.
For Rendon, a base hit back in the 1st inning. Now 12 for 36 this year against Miami with a couple of home runs.
Now this veteran lineup, they are not going to make it easy on Alcantara. They're not going to start chasing pitches out of the zone. They're going to make him throw better strikes as he continues to struggle. 21 balls, 22 strikes.
There's a strike. Leadoff man has reached in both of the innings so far for Washington, and I point that out because Alcantara really hasn't worked from the full windup much at all to really kind of get into that groove from that perspective. But he is now behind 3 balls and a strike to Anthony Rendon. Juan Soto awaits. That one is lined foul down the left field line into the seats.
Now, Rendon is hunting a fastball in this situation. Alcantara's back's against the wall. He's got to bring it.
He's able to get a big strikeout with the bases loaded, 1 out in the first. He gets a line drive and close play at second. Turner is back.
Hell, a big out, however you choose to look at it. I know it's a line drive out in the box score. Rendon certainly hit it on the screws. It was a slider that was down. Just take the out wherever you can get it. I think the idea of really just going to a different pitch other than the fastball was the right move. As hot as Rendon has been, all things considered, a big pitch.
Now Soto, who struck out in the first. First pitch strikes to just half of the batters thus far. Now 2-0. So he'll be at 50 or more to get through 2 innings of work tonight. No swing for Soto. 3 balls and no strikes. So Alcantara has thrown 50 pitches, 25 for strikes. Steven Strasburg, 7 pitches, 7 strikes.
Well, coming into tonight's ball game, lefties 2 for 33 on the season against Sandy Alcantara. Tonight 3 for 4 with 3 walks.
Fouled off the plate. Now the count runs full.
It shows you what the Nats can do to you.
I think that really explains what has made this year so frustrating for Washington. Every time it seems the Marlins see them, you see this murderer's row type lineup. Scherzer and Strasburg and bullpen that's been all right, and yet here they are kind of on the outside looking in. This one grounded up the middle. It'll be Rojas to make the play. Well, 2-run score in the inning. It could have been a lot worse. Nats have left 6 on in 2 innings. Back here at Marlins Park, Marlins with a 2-0 deficit through an inning and a half. Alcantara has battled against the Nats so far, but has left the bases loaded twice. Let's see what the Marlins can do against Steven Strasburg in inning number 2. Peter O'Brien, Brian Anderson, and Lewis Brinson against Strasburg, who threw 7 pitches, all strikes in the first inning, and he misses outside to O'Brien with the first pitch of the second.
Interesting contrast, right? 8 total pitches for Strasburg, 53 for Alcantara already.
(2-0) to Peter O'Brien, highest OPS among rookies in September. The Toyota trend shows us that O'Brien is at .946 behind Acuna Jr. and Soto. Of course, 5 of the 6 hits with the Marlins have gone for extra bases for O'Brien, and may have another here. A high drive, deep left field, and that one is gone. A solo home run for Peter O'Brien, his third. 2-1.
Stay hot, Mr. O'Brien. Keep it going. It has been an impressive run. Continues to show why the Marlins gave him an opportunity here in the month of September. Tons of power down below, tons of power here at Marlins Park, and we've seen this, the ability to turn velocity around. Did it in Philly, done it once again here in Miami.
So now a 2-1 deficit for the Marlins as Brian Anderson takes low and away.
I mentioned it in terms of Steven Strasburg. I always wonder when I kind of go down that path of talking slugging percentage against or number of home runs allowed, you know, as you get ready to start a game in Marlins Park. I think that one caught Brian Anderson.
It did.
I'll bring it up again. Anderson makes his way down to first base. Comes into tonight's ball game. Strasburg does. Slugging percentage of .413 against. And well, that's the pitch that hits Anderson, gets him on the front elbow, that left elbow. I made a note of it, but like I said, I'm not sure Marlins Park is the place to bring this up. 114 innings this year, right? 15 home runs allowed. Now, he had a fantastic season last year. 15-4 record, 2.52 ERA, but he only gave up 13 home runs. The long ball's been an issue for Strasburg.
All right, so check them off. We've got Anderson, and we've got Wieters, and then we've got the home plate umpire, Ryan Knight.
Everybody ends up closing their eyes, right?
It's a 3 for 1.
Yeah, you need to throw that ball out.
Pinball.
That's right.
0-2 to Brinson. His last 14 games. And 291 with a home run and 8 RBIs. There's a look at Roger Hoover, the Jacksonville broadcaster, and he will be joining us during the top of the 3rd inning. Southern League Radio Broadcaster of the Year. So it'll be fun to talk with him, get a sense as to how the year went for him this year. And what could be on the way through Jacksonville, on its way to Miami at some point. Dean takes a look at a called strike. Upstairs, 1-1. Dean 1 for 3 in last night's ball game. 2 runs scored and a walk. He's hit in 4 straight for Miami.
safe bet.
Yeah, a little bit of a graduating class, if you will. One thing we've seen from Dean, again, during this modest 4-game hit streak, maybe over the last week or so, is just kind of that see the ball as long as you can and shoot it the other way type approach.
Right. It's been an impressive one when he's kind of lined the baseball back through the box and kind of gone to right center field, really staying on the ball well. That's kind of a in-season adjustment he's made.
Picked by Wieters and throws down to first, but Anderson's back.
That's one thing you learn, especially young guys who kind of start to find their way, start finding their success, is that you don't necessarily have to constantly be changing your approach up here, but you do change the way that you're getting, the way that you're seeing the baseball, and the way that you're being approached as a hitter. You'll go through periods of time where you're hitting the ball up the middle the other way. Then that may change. Typically what ends up happening is say, man, this dude's wearing us out up the middle the other way. We got to start getting in on his hands. We've got to be able to make an adjustment to that. See Strasburg picked up a couple of strikeouts this inning on the changeup. Those of you watching at home, he does throw the changeup to both lefties and righties. The curveball to both lefties and righties. It's been a big pitch. That arsenal, that secondary arsenal, very productive over his last couple of starts.
O'Brien home run and Anderson hit by pitch, but then back-to-back strikeouts, and in steps Magneuris Sierra. Takes a strike at the top of the zone. Didn't love it. 0-1. 5 ribbies on the year for Sierra, 2 of them last night. First multi-RBI game for him since July 31st. In last night's ball game, got one through the right side. Another comeback win for the Marlins.
And I think for Sierra, he's going to start realizing that he's got an advantage that a lot of players don't have. He possesses so much speed. Teams defend him differently. They bring those corner infielders in an awful lot. When I think of Juan Pierre, I bet he's going to have a few conversations in his future with JP. And I guess the point that I have is that JP was the master of bringing guys in. He'd show bunt one time or two a game. Didn't always mean he was going to put one down, but it puts everybody on guard against it. And when you bring those corners in like that, you've got an opportunity to open up your game a little bit. Just like that base hit last night.
Well, that's 3 consecutive strikeouts for Strasburg after the home run allowed to Peter O'Brien. As he goes deep and makes this a 2-1 ball game. has gotten the Marlins back to within a run. Top 3 on the way here at Marlins Park. We say hello again, everybody, from inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth. Of course, you know this guy, Roger Hoover, Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp broadcaster, or should I say Southern League Radio Broadcaster of the Year. Congratulations, pal.
Well, thank you so much. It was a really fun year. A lot of new energy in the Marlins organization. We certainly felt that at AA, and we had a lot of fun broadcasts, too.
All right, so for those that may not be familiar with your work, how many years on the job for you in Jacksonville?
This was my 7th year in Jacksonville. I just completed my 11th year overall in minor league baseball, and 10 of those 11 years been spent in the Southern League. I was the number 2 voice of the Tennessee Smokies near the end of my college days at the University of Tennessee, and then went to Jacksonville first year out of college. Been there ever since.
You look like you're 12. Like, I'm 34, but I have no hair, so I look older. How old are you?
I just turned 30.
Excellent. Excellent. Off to a great start, my friend. Wish you nothing but the best going forward.
I appreciate it. Yeah, my goal is to make it to the major leagues, so I'm just like the players, trying to work my way up as much as possible.
Well, speak to that. I think that's an interesting dynamic. I mean, you're in a very unique position where, you know, you see players on the journey. You get to watch the process. You get to see them grow up. And then, you know, the finished product's up here. You're like, hey, all right, they've got there. But for your eyes, you get to see, wow, he's really been working on the bunting, and now it's paying off. So tell us about a little bit how that goes.
Well, for me, I just try to work on different skills, try to get as many critiques as I can, try to get better as much as possible. And another thing that's been really nice the last few years, the last 3 seasons with the Marlins Radio Network, Kyle Seeloff and I, we get to team up for a few webcasts of Marlins Spring Training Baseball on Marlins.com, MLB.com apps. So that's been a lot of fun. And to get those first Major League innings under my belt, it's been a really great experience.
Yeah, excellent work. And, you know, we were talking before, I'm sure that some of these guys you've seen throughout your days, but even some of these guys this year, like, there have been these jumps along the way. So, you know, you're kind of there up here at the major league level. We kind of get the guy and say, oh, what was it like when you got the call to the big leagues? But you're almost there for that call or that conversation, communication of the promotion to the next level.
And that's always the most exciting part about any minor league season, is seeing guys, even if it's a call up to AAA for the first time in their careers. That's always a really exciting moment. And yeah, you mentioned the last inning. Peter O'Brien, leadoff homer against Strasburg. Earlier this season, he was playing in a Jacksonville uniform. And the most fun stretch we had all year was when he homered in 6 games in a row, tied the Southern League record for most consecutive games with a home run in early June.
Right. And you get to see the transition here. And I think, you know, for our eyes, we're like, oh, we get to look at this. Now we look at stats and numbers and say, well, he's been tearing it up in the minor leagues. He's kind of earned his way back up here again. And lo and behold, he goes deep tonight. He's been, you know, he's been on a nice little tear here. But to your eyes, I think you say, well, that's exactly what I saw. I'm not surprised at this.
No, not surprised at all. He still has to cut down on the strikeouts and show that defensively he can handle every part of the job at first base. But I think he's getting a great audition here in September.
Wilmer Defoe with 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd inning. A couple of fly balls out to center field. I'll start with just a short list in case the inning runs short, and we can expand if we have time. But some guys that you saw that maybe put you out on a limb here a little bit, but that maybe have a chance of getting to the big leagues rather quickly. Who impressed you? How's that?
Well, Marlins top prospect Monte Harrison was just physically impressive. I think he is the best athlete in the Marlins organization right now. So for him to make the transition like he did to AA and get better as the season went along, you always look month to month. What is a guy doing? Monte Harrison was able to cut down a lot of his strikeouts as the season went along. The power numbers were there, and defensively in center field or right field, he was as sharp as could be. And it was really fun as well when Lewis Brinson was with us on a rehab assignment. You had Brinson in center, Harrison in right, and they handled everything flawlessly in the outfield.
Yeah, that's what we've seen from Lewis. I remember early in the season between him and Cameron Maven, anything that got in the air, it was an out.
Sure.
It didn't matter. Wilmer Defoe works the walk. That's 4 for Alcantara here tonight. A look there at Brinson, who has been a bit of a different player. We've talked about that. Now, Jacksonville, I haven't checked out their ballpark. Is it as spacious as they say?
It certainly is. Well, it's 420 feet to straightaway center field in Jacksonville, so that's 13 more feet than here at Marlins Park. So that's a lot of room for Monte Harrison to have to cover, and he hit some home runs to straightaway center field. So did Peter O'Brien, so that's a good idea about some of the power those guys have.
Were you here yesterday? Did you see batting practice yesterday?
I did, yes.
Did you see where O'Brien hit one yesterday? Into the Fox Sports Florida pre-post game set.
Craig Minervini wasn't up there at the time, was he?
Well, of course not. Craig is rarely on the job. He's just kind of around. No, I kid. But yeah, it was up in that kind of range.
That's incredible.
That was an absolute blast. And then here he is the next night hitting a home run. 0-2. Throw down to second is in time. Wilmer Defoe is out on the caught stealing for JT. Do you have another half inning?
Absolutely.
All right. 2-1.
Bottom of the third, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Nothing aggravates me more, Roger, than when someone disseminates. So I'm glad that you were able to kind of tell everybody that that's how that goes. I just wanted to pass that off once, and I appreciate you. Excellent work with that.
Oh, I feel like a September call-up now. This is great.
I know. People are reproducing and retransmitting and disseminating. We just can't have that.
That's right.
Anymore. Roger Hoover with us again for another half inning. Right here, I've got my laptop. I think it's nice and safe and sound. You do not have one. What happened? Walk us through this, because you got some national headlines for this.
I certainly did. Yeah, it was a July 4th game. There you can see a picture of my laptop. We were in Mobile. That's the oldest ballpark in the Southern League. That net is not very high, so a lefty hitter line drive came straight back and smashed the screen from behind, and then it spiderwebs like that. You saw the random lights, and you know, that night I was pretty devastated, but then the next day I got the play-by-play call of me describing it, just put it on SoundCloud, on the team's SoundCloud page, tweeted it out, hoping for some sympathy. Had no idea it would go as national as it did.
That's awesome. Well, not awesome, but it is awesome. Now, are you like me, where I have to write everything down? So if my laptop or iPad or notes went up in the wind, like you wouldn't hear from me for very long. Like, I have notes.
That's where we try to explain to the Marlins fans that it is good to sound like your partner in a lot of ways, because we pick each other up all the time, and you just don't know it at home.
That's right.
If there have been 1,000 innings, Holly's probably done about 800 of them. Yeah, were you devastated the way I would have been?
Pretty much. Yeah, you know, I was able to get through that one call that everybody heard. No one heard the next two innings where it was ball 2.
Right.
Strike 3, you know.
Yeah, well, here's another one. No, that one.
See, he gets a little nervous. He hasn't had one. We haven't, oddly enough, I tell him, as soon as we get here, it's like, you know, I was on the job last year, I don't know, a week or two, and, you know, Tyler Flowers right up in here, caught it. You know, no laptops damage, make the catch, put the ball back up on the wall over there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, balls come up in the booth all the time. How many balls have we had this year?
0.
I mean, we haven't even been close, I don't think.
Not a one.
At all.
But if one comes up here in the next few minutes, it's your fault. You know
I can imagine that, yes.
Are you more prepared to catch one that comes up here than I think your laptop was?
Yes, I have much more of a reflex now.
Right.
You know, I certainly think about it even more, even down the hall doing the demo broadcast I've done. I've put my hands up a few times.
Well,
just
this
to
booth
make
here
sure.
in Miami, you got to kind of be up here in this range
That's
here for it to get into the booth. It's got to be
Yeah.
a little bit higher than we are.
Yeah, he's giving me the whole scouting report on the whole thing. He's like, anything right about here?
You're good, yeah.
No,
Well,
but up
get
here.
here.
You got a chance. Yeah, but I have yet to do a game with a glove. I figure I could probably handle it. Maybe catch it with my chest or something like that. Just
Absolutely.
knock it down. Knock it down, make a play, keep it on the infield. That's what I want to do.
That's the key.
That's what Bone taught him. Yeah, there it is. I get it. All right, there's been a rebranding of the shrimp. Is that right?
Yeah.
How is that transition? How has it gone?
It was a really positive transition. We did it on November 2nd, 2016, the day of Game 7 of the World Series, and also it was the week before the presidential election. So President Obama and then candidate Trump were both in Jacksonville that week. The front page story, though, was that logo, was the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. We stole all the headlines and just had a really fun time with it. We've seen great merchandise, great attendance in Jacksonville, and just so many fans are now engaged with the product, and that's the best thing we really see about the Jumbo Shrimp.
I do like it because it's a shrimp, but it's a J, and he's got that. That's really kind of cool. I like that one.
Yeah, and the players love it too. The players have a lot of different jerseys they can now wear, and really nobody was at the forefront of the rebrand quite like Austin Dean, because he played the last year of the Jacksonville Suns, and he wanted to be known as the first great Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp player. So I think you can give that to him, Brian Anderson, also Dylan Peters, who we've seen in the minor leagues a little bit. Those guys had a lot of fun with it last year, and Austin Dean loved playing in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, but I'm sure he's also happy to be playing in Miami now as well, right? I mean, that there is, and you could certainly speak to this, kind of the grind of the travel, right? The buses.
Yeah, all
you
bus
guys aren't
travel.
flying, right, at all?
No, unfortunately, we do not get any flights. Every now and then we'll get 2 buses for, say, a 10-hour trip or a 14-hour trip like we do run into, but all bus travel. And Jacksonville is kind of on its own island now in the Southern League in terms of being so far east. So even our closest trip to Pensacola to play the Blue Wahoos, that's still about a 5-hour trip.
Wow. Have you become an expert packer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind of have to.
And I stay in a hotel in Jacksonville during the season,
Oh,
so
my goodness.
I'm in and out of hotels from April through September, even right now.
Jeez, you got a lot of hotel points.
Yeah, racking them up.
Yeah, good for you. So you gotta get something out of this.
That's
thing,
right.
Right. So what does the winter hold for you?
I will first of all broadcast a lot of sports on SEC Network Plus on the ESPN app, whether it's Alabama volleyball or soccer, and of course my alma mater is University of Tennessee, so I'll do some volleyball for them. And then basketball season, I'm the radio broadcaster for Alabama women's basketball. So I'll get to do all their games on radio, some SEC Network Plus games as well for Tennessee and Alabama, and then before we know it, it'll be spring training time again.
Yeah, and then you and Seeloff will be going nuts. And I will say this, and I mean this. I listened to a lot of you and Kyle throughout the spring as I was trying to get kind of a better gauge of some of the players here. You do a fantastic job. And I know those spring training games are not easy because there's 1,000 changes. It's kind of like that game we had in Philadelphia the other night.
That's right. Yeah, and the good thing is, I'm able to. So many of the guys that are coming in the ball games late, I've either just seen in Jacksonville or have been around a couple of years. So I always have a good familiarity with the players late in ball games that really has been able to help out in what can be a tough spring training broadcast.
Right. You've done a fantastic job, and I know, just speaking to the fact that you've worked with Kyle, that I know you must do an outstanding job.
Oh, you are an absolute saint, my friend.
He's a lot of fun to work with.
We kid. Roger, appreciate it, man. Congrats
Thank you,
again.
guys.
Always good to
Thanks,
see you.
Roger.
Good to see you guys.
All right, Roger Hoover with us as the Nats and Marlins play on here at Marlins Park.
1. Join us at the Clevelander Marlins Park this Saturday. More than 20 different domestic and international brews. Tickets start at just $30. The Marlins take on the Reds, plus you'll get early access to the party at Clevelander Marlins Park. Purchase your tickets at marlins.com/beerfest.
Steven Strasburg to lead things off for the Nationals, and takes ball 1. Looked like it was a pretty good pitch, but ball 1 nonetheless for Strasburg, who had a sac bunt in his first plate appearance. Pops this one foul, a ball and a strike. Well, good to talk to Roger Hoover for a couple of half innings there. Great young guy who's been with the organization for quite some time. And again, congratulations, the Southern League Radio Broadcaster of the Year.
Well deserved. Such an interesting perspective. Like, he's the guy to talk to if you have any questions about the Marlins system. Guys coming through it, making their way. He sees them all the time.
Yeah.
Tremendous point of reference, I know, for Fox Sports this season.
Yes. As long as he's got a laptop to work with.
Right.
That would be that's the one thing. I'm telling you what, if it happened to me, I may pack it up and just, say have at it.
Well, hopefully
I'd make bad jokes the next 2 hours.
I'm hoping to get you on point about that. Like, so when you see the ball coming, you have to be like, I'm going to catch it.
Yeah. No,
now you're like, oh no. Like, like if you go, oh no, yeah, guess what? Kiss your laptop goodbye. Done. You need to be like, here it comes, I got it.
Right. I think what I'm worried about is all the other stuff. Like, what'll happen is I'll try to catch it. What'll happen is I'll probably either punch the computer with my hand trying to catch it, or knock over the coffee with my other hand.
Well,
and then we really have a mess.
It's possible, but it's still better than your laptop going down,
I guess. So you're saying you'd buy me another one? I appreciate that, pal. You're really.
I definitely look out for you. I'm trying to get you prepared for it. I mean, you just got to think, I'm going to get it.
Right.
Here it comes. I'm going to catch it. You don't want to be that guy. I mean, you definitely don't want to be the guy who gets the ball and doesn't catch it.
Right. No, trust me. That's the other fear I've got.
There's a strong possibility we won't let you live that down.
No, I know. And I've done some dumb stuff. Stuff.
Brand new laptop. Look at him over
he's
there.
cooking with gas now.
That's right.
0-1 to Eaton is outside.
Sandy Alcantara's pitch total at 73, though. He's been able to keep himself hanging around. He's got an out here in the 4th. That 13-pitch third inning certainly helped.
And the caught stealing of Wilmer Defoe that got the pitcher to hit to lead things off, and Strasburg, who struck out. Now the 2-1 to Eaton is outside.
You're absolutely right. Certainly set this inning up. Hopefully it will be a 0 that goes into the 4th inning for the Nats.
Eaton on for the 3rd time.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Well, that's 5 walks tonight for Alcantara. And again, the 3rd time that Eaton has reached base. A couple of singles and an RBI back in the 2nd inning. Now it's Trey Turner. For Turner, a strikeout in the 1st. And the bunt single that led to a run. That safety squeeze. Just a little outside, 2-1. And a tough time living in the strike zone tonight for Alcantara. Did strand 3 Nationals in the 1st inning, no runs scored, and 3 Nationals in the 2nd inning, the inning in which they scored 2. And now Turner with his 2nd base hit. So So again, more traffic for Alcantara at 80 pitches now in the 4th inning.
Yeah, he is really having to grind this inning. You're watching these national hitters, you know, we call it keyholing. Basically what ends up happening is that, you know, that the pitcher can't command his fastball or his pitches to a particular side of the plate or get enough strikes. You start to look just down the middle of the plate, because that's where, you know, the idea is that for him to get back, he's going to have to throw strikes at some point. The likelihood is he's going to miss out over the middle. You saw it right there with Turner. A couple of misses both sides. He's looking right down the middle, gets a fastball to hit. It really has been a battle tonight.
So he'll face Harper for a 3rd time. Harper has drawn 2 walks tonight. 2 of the 5 issued by Alcantara. Five walks in his first start. That was against the Mets in late June. And then 5 walks combined in the last 2 starts against the Phillies and the Mets. Oh, 2.
A good changeup from Alcantara after the 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I tell you, maybe the 2 best pitches he's thrown this inning. I mean, he's missing the same way. We've seen it all game long. I mean, he's missing to the same side of the plate, typically the left-handed hitters. We've seen a couple misses to the righties, but it's the arm side run. It's taking his fastball and sometimes even that changeup off that outside edge.
Nothing in 2 to Harper. Rendon on deck. Win last night for Don Mattingly's Marlins. That's 2 in a row after a 5-game skid toward the end of that road trip. At least for the night, cooled off the Nationals, who now have won 7 of the last 10 games overall.
Well, all the way back to 3-2. A couple of good pitches to get ahead. So that, in a lot of ways, sums up tonight for Alcantara.
Here's the payoff pitch, and that's outside. They are loaded again for Anthony Rendon. Well, last night Harper struck out 3 times. Tonight Harper has walked 3 times. And that is a career high 6 walks for Alcantara.
Now, complications tonight. I think tonight's start kind of reminds us how young he is, what he's still learning, and probably takes us back to his first start this season against the Mets. Same type of struggles, same type of sequencing, and, well, I'll tell you what, same kind of guts. He's kept his team in this baseball game, but it's going to require some wiggling once again here in the 4th. Left 3 on in the first, 3 on in the second. Had a clean 3rd inning, but in trouble once again here in the 4th.
Well, while the results are extremely positive, 0 for 4 with 6 left on base with the bases loaded, the opportunities are what kind of scares you, because you don't want to be walking a tightrope for too long, especially with the likes of Anthony Rendon coming to the plate. Eaton, Turner, Harper, 3rd to 1st. The pitch to Rendon misses low.
Well, we pointed it out coming into tonight's ball game. As good as he has been, Alcantara, against left-handed hitters. Only 2 hits allowed, but tonight the Nationals 3 for 6. They have all 6 walks.
action in the Marlins pen as Eliezer Hernandez begins to throw. He threw 19 pitches in an inning of work last night. He was the first man out of the pen behind Trevor Richards. This a fly ball out to right field. Sierra comes in, fires home. We'll see the arm, and just not in time. Tell you what, if somebody's a little bit slower than Eaton, he might have had a play.
Yeah, he probably does. Sierra, nice job. He did everything fundamentally correct right there. So many times you'll see an outfielder on a high fly ball get buried underneath it or camped underneath it. Look at the momentum that Sierra created for himself. That's what you're bottling up as an outfielder. It helps you with the throw, and he gets a ton on it. Eaton just barely getting across home plate. I'll tell you, even the bounce, Paul, if that bounce is a little truer, more towards JT as opposed to up in the air, he may have had him as well. Nice job by Sierra. Boy, oh boy, everything about that throw was right.
Well, now 3-1, but 2 outs in the inning, and it's Juan Soto. This will be number 90 for Alcantara. Strikeout in the first, a ground out in the second. On a hop, that's Rojas. Plenty of time to make the play. Well, again, wiggling once more. A run in, 2-run deficit.
Going on this week to say thank you to the fans. Here are a few highlights. On Thursday, it is a Throwback Thursday and social media night. On Friday, there's going to be meet and greets with Marlins players around the ballpark. On Saturday, there's food on the West Plaza and post-game fireworks. And then on Sunday, Marlins players are literally going to be giving away the jerseys off their backs. Also, throughout the course of the week, there are awesome sales going on at the Marlins team store. Take a look around me. All of this gear is $10 or less. You're also going to get an additional 30% off. So guys, you know what that means. It is time for me to do a little shopping.
Well, if I know Jessica, like I think I know Jessica, you don't need to twist her arm to go shopping. Am I right? Or am I right? Or am I right? Yeah, exactly. All right, Jessica, appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to it this weekend. Not so much in terms of the end of the season, but all the great promotions that we've got here at the ballpark. 2-0 to JT Realmuto. AARP take on today his career against Steven Strasburg, hitting .318, a couple of doubles, a couple of triples. lined out to right in his first at-bat. This one is grounded toward the Marlins dugout. Well, Strasburg has struck out 7 Marlins, including the last 6 in a row. And Holly, I believe we have 6 on the changeup, right?
That is correct. In the ball game, the curveball that he used for a strikeout came against Alcantara. We talked about it in the open. Again, you know, maybe dealing with a little less velocity, but the one thing that has held true this season for Strasburg is that his secondary pitches have been outstanding, including the changeup and the curveball. Both have been major factors tonight.
That's a base hit over the leap of Zimmerman. And that snaps the string of 6 straight Ks for Strasburg. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live, the pregame show. Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, Jeff Nelson. The final home series of the season. Cody Reed and Jeff Brigham, the 2 starting pitchers. And Thursday will be a very cool broadcast. You see that little graphic there, bottom left of your screen? It's going to be pop-out video show night. So throughout the night, there's going to be a bunch of little kind of nuggets and notes and facts and tidbits and all kinds of stuff that pop up throughout the broadcast.
We're going to put your thoughts in bubbles.
Well, that's not going to be safe now, is it?
No, that's why we're doing it.
By the end of the year, most of my things will be packed up anyway, so.
Huh?
Most of my thoughts are, did I lock my car? I mean, there's really, honestly, there's really not a lot going on up there.
Where's my coffee?
Yeah, where's my coffee? Where'd that bug come from that's in my coffee? True story.
Did I get Lyme disease from a tick?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I think it was a fly. It looked like it may have been, I don't know what it was. I took 3 more sips and threw it out.
Oh, well, that's, yeah.
No.
Those listening at home, he had a bug in his coffee. That's where we're going with that. I heard him say, I think there's a tick in my coffee. Somebody help me.
Yeah. You get a napkin, you fish it out of there. Ball and 2 strikes to Peter O'Brien, who homered in his first at-bat tonight. A lone run for the Marlins. And prior to JT's hit a moment ago, their only hit. They've got 2.
We'll show you this one more time. Beautiful swing. He's used a line-to-line approach since being up here, and it's power to all fields. This time power to left. Just enough to get it over the wall in left. Got that off the end of the bat just a bit, but again, I've used the phrase, excuse me, power. O'Brien possesses it.
They check, no swing, and the count is going to be full, 3-2.
To his credit, he's been the one hitter tonight that's done the best job laying off the nasty Strasburg changeup. I've seen a few of them, but he's been able to hold up every time.
Well, Brian's done a nice job so far in the couple of weeks that he's been with the club. 3 homers, 3 doubles. And he works the walk.
Yeah, very nice at bat right there. Laid off some tough pitches and keeps this inning moving. This game's got a weird feel to it, Paul. There's been so much traffic for the Nats that feels like the score's a little bit different. But as Anderson steps to the plate here in the bottom of the 4th inning, this game is well within reach for the Marlins.
Yeah, the Nationals are 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position, but they have left 8 men on base and have just a 2-run lead.
It's just so much traffic, it feels different. I mean, obviously Alcantara's thrown a 91 pitches to Strasburg's 50. One big hit could change the course of this ball game.
Anderson hit by a pitch, his first plate appearance, taps it foul here. 0-1. It's Teheran Guerrero up in the Marlins bullpen. We saw Hernandez working in the top of this half inning. wonder if Hernandez would have been a get out of a jam kind of thing. Maybe more of a clean inning for Guerrero. Low, ball and strike. Bottom of the zone. Tough pitch from Strasburg, and it's 1-2. The 2-2 pitch swung on and missed for strike 3. And there is one out. That is 8 for Strasburg. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. Best road ERA, or at least guys with a better ERA on the road. A 2.94 differential between home and road for Steven Strasburg.
Yeah, a bit of an oddity, right? I think by now he would be pitching better at Nats Park. That's a bit surprising, but one thing I do know, twice as many home runs allowed at home than on the road. Only the 6th home run, the O'Brien homer early in this game.
Behind Lewis Brinson, who struck out back in the 2nd inning. That was the first of 6 in a row in terms of strikeouts for Strasburg. Then the single, the walk, and then the strikeout of Anderson here in the 4th. Overall, last 4 starts for Strasburg, 255, 27 strikeouts coming in. The 1 earned run and 8 strikeouts through 3 1/3 tonight. Two. Well, the thing for Strasburg is in his career, strikeout per 9 rate of 10.5, which he has hit right on the button this year and last year. But yet this year only 3 times in any of his starts, and this is what did we say, number 20 for him, has he gone double-digit strikeouts.
He's got a little shorter in his starts this season. I'm sure that's probably part of it. The one thing that really stands out to me, a bit more of the process, it's only the 2nd strikeout there on the fastball, 94 miles an hour outer edge, for his 9th strikeout tonight. After allowing the first 2 guys on, back-to-back strikeouts of Anderson and Brinson.
Well, we have seen pitchers get on runs against the Marlins just the last few days. Remember Pavetta the other day? Just
7 in the first time through the lineup.
Yeah. Every Marlin has struck out at least once, except Real Muto and O'Brien. Two Marlins who have hits. He got Dean on a changeup back in the second. Dean with a fly ball out to right field. That is Eaton to make the catch. Marlins get the first two runners on, but Strasburg buckles down 3-1 after 4.
Top of the fifth inning at Marlins Park here with the Nats up in this ballgame. Sandy Alcantara leaving. Guerrero comes in. Frankie Frisch said it a long time ago. Former Hall of Fame player. He was a manager of the Pirates and a broadcaster later on network television as well and radio. His phrase was, "All those bases on balls." And so far it has been an issue for the Marlins once again this year. You look at the top four around baseball. This is coming into tonight's game. You got 6 more walks tonight. 4th most in the league, well over the league average. Now, here's the crazy thing. You're probably looking and saying, wow, Cubs, they're in first place in the Central. Braves, hey, they're in first place in the East. Well, just a few days ago, the Braves walked 14 Nationals in a loss, and that is a surprising number. Last year, only one of the top 12 teams walk-wise, most walks, made it to the postseason. The Cubs were 8th. So unusual to guys to see 2 teams that could be headed to postseason play in a category where you hate to be in, and that is issuing those free passes, costly usually for your ball club.
Yeah, Craig, thanks so much. It's interesting to talk about walks in that sort of sense, and perhaps for the Marlins, it definitely, in some senses, has been their downfall this year because they have gotten themselves into so many troubled innings with the free passes. And maybe the way that this roster has been built, they haven't been able to get themselves out of those jams the way others have.
Well, stress is felt that way. There's no doubt about it. It lengthens innings, and so now your pitcher's throwing more pitches. What does that mean? Your pitcher's throwing more pitches. You got to go to the bullpen a little bit earlier, much like this ball game. When you're in the bullpen early, what do you got to do? You got to have more bullpen innings. What ends up happening when you have more bullpen innings? You have taxed and stressed relievers. Yep, it is quite contagious. I always take it to the next level. And, listen, it's not always connected this way, but it's player speak. It's also a drag inning for many players who are standing around on defense and nothing's happening.
Nice play by Guerrero, reaching up to make the play, and Zimmerman is retired. Geico presents this day in Marlins history. Let's go back to September 18th, 1995. Gary Sheffield tying a club record with 7 RBIs in Philadelphia. 3 for 3, a single, a couple of home runs, and a sac fly. Matt Wieters. 100 at the bottom of the zone. Wieters is 0 for 1 today. Walked and scored back in the second, and a fly ball out to center in the third. Two 2-1 to Wieters from Guerrero, fouled back to the screen. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now for Guerrero with the dozen or so games we've got left, it will be imperative for him to kind of figure things out a little bit. I mean, when he has been on, he has been nasty, he's been unhittable. But when he's been off, it's been a little bit of trouble, or maybe a lot of bit of trouble. So it's about harnessing it and trying to tighten some things up in these last couple of weeks, because there have been a lot of runs allowed the last handful or so of outings for Guerrero. 3 runs in 3 of his last 4 outings. But he strikes out Wieters. Nice pitch there, and there are 2 away in the 5th.
A good slider from Guerrero. This is what you're talking about, Paul. Taking steps forward. And we've talked about it an awful lot for Guerrero. Certainly know how hard he can throw, how he can dial up the velocity. But the development of the slider, I think even here in the next couple of weeks, to see that pitch progress, create more value, will only help him. Much like Alcantara, has dealt with tonight, this is exactly what Guerrero has been dealing with. Yeah, he's still throwing hard, triple digits. We've already seen it one time tonight. But my point is that if you're not throwing it for strikes and it's not on the edges, you're going to get hit up here. I mean, that's a flat out fact. You could throw 105 miles an hour all game long, but you give a lineup 2 cracks at you, 3 cracks at you, and you're throwing it down the middle of the plate, they're going to get hits.
The old adage, major leaguer can time a bullet.
Well, and I think that's what's impressive about Alcantara. Now, granted, tonight was not his night, but we talked about the movement early. He possesses tremendous movement, which I think is so hard to see on, high-end velocity. And that's the one thing that I just bet he'll probably battle that, first few seasons of his career. May not be exactly like tonight, but moving forward, that's it. His stuff was the same stuff that we saw the other night. It's just he didn't harness it as well. That lane that we talk about, and I think that's what a pitcher really has to feel, is the release point, the timing, and where the ball's coming out of your hand. It's a quick line out there to Brian Anderson to get the strikes that you need.
A 1-2-3 5th for Guerrero. It's a 3-1 ball game here in Marlins Park. Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic. Trust the #1 hospital in Miami, Fort Lauderdale with your care. And by La Lechonera, the original mojo since 1970. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, and Craig Minervini here at the ballpark. Jessica Blaylock here too on an email Twitter Tuesday, as it is a 3-1 deficit for the Marlins going into the last of the 5th inning against Steven Strasburg, who has had the strikeout pitch working tonight. 9 strikeouts through the first 4 innings of work. He'll face Sierra, and then the pitcher's spot with Rafael Ortega in the on-deck circle right now. And then the top of the order, JT Realmuto. Strikeout for Sierra in his first trip back in the 2nd. Squares to bunt, lays it down. Rendon bare hands, throws, got him. Has to be executed perfectly because Sierra gets to his top speed so quick. And Rendon did just that, but the Marlins bench will talk it over with the video room. One more look. He's out, and as the Marlins do as well, they won't even challenge.
I'll tell you what, Rendon made this play about as easy as anybody in the game. My goodness, one step, underhand toss across the diamond to get the speedy Sierra. I'll tell you, Strasburg, that's who I was so interested in as we watched the bunt go down. Didn't even move, like he knew this play was being made by Rendon. And it was. One of the best third baseman defensively in the game, offensively too.
So Ortega bats for Guerrero, 0-1. Had a chance to talk with Juan Pierre earlier today around the cage. Asked him kind of what he's seen from Sierra. I know that he and others on the coaching staff have been working with Sierra on that very thing that we saw a moment ago, trying to get the bunts down, picking your spots, when to do it, and getting it down in a good spot. And I think with, I don't know, 80–90% of the other third basemen in baseball, that's probably a base hit. But Juan Pierre told me today that he has seen some improvements with Sierra in that part of his game. Certainly will be something, along with some base running, that he'll be working on this winter. 2-1 to Ortega. Chops it foul.
Ortega 0 for 2 pinch hitting this season, 5 for 12 in his career. That's .417 batting average. Little RBIs.
Foul back, still 2-2. Come from behind win Sunday in Philadelphia. A come from behind win last night, back-to-back for the Marlins, and looking for another here, trailing 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Day off tomorrow for the Marlins for their final home series of the year. The Reds in town for 4. Nationals also off. They'll go home for the Mets, as Ortega out to center for Harper, and there are 2 away. Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. We focus in on Luis Palacios, signed as a free agent back in July of 2016. 8-0 with a sub-1 ERA. 62 strikeouts, 4 walks. I like that ratio.
I'll tell you what, for an 18-year-old, I've seen a good curveball and a good slider already. There's another one. He's got those young men upside down, inside out, as we used to say. So if they're looking for a fastball, you're thinking, yeah, you know, used to hit high velocity here at the ripe old age of 18. Sliders and curveballs out of his hand. That's why you see the splits the way they are.
Strike to JT Riddle, 1-1. 2 strikeouts tonight for JT in the leadoff spot tonight. We've seen him there in the leadoff spot a handful of times over the last few weeks. Don Mattingly trying to see if that can be a role in the future for JT Riddle.
It's been interesting this inning. Strasburg has been pitching with much more conviction using the fastball. In fact, I certainly was getting ready to talk about the changeups and the number that he had thrown. He has gone at everybody with heaters here in the 5th.
That's a base hit up the middle for JT Riddle.
That's an interesting set of circumstances there. Talk about JT and how well he's been hitting fastballs. This 2-seamer, 94 miles an hour at the belt, lines it into center field. Great swing right there. He was the victim of the changeups. Strasburg struck him out 2 times. That changeup down. So with 2 outs, runner on first, Rojas in the box.
Miggy 0 for 2 tonight, ground out and strikeout. And past the dive of Rendon into left field, a base hit. Back-to-back 2-out singles for the Marlins in the 5th.
You see the diving attempt from Rendon. The pitch a slider. First hit of the ball game for Rojas. Well, I'll say this: I know there's 2 outs, but you got a couple of runners on. 2 hottest hitters tonight: Real Muto and O'Brien up. JT a base hit to right his last time. Brian's been on both times, including a home run. It's a big moment in this ball game. Well, let's have a chance to get this thing tied up or a run closer.
Real Muto has 12 RBIs against the Nationals this year. Came in hitting .387 against Washington. He's 1 for 2. A line out in the first and a base hit in the 4th. 2 on, 2 out, down 2. And low, 1-0. Head, a base hit. In to score is JT Riddle, and over to third goes Rojas. It's a 1-run game.
Well, you don't see it too often in Major League Baseball, but you know what? Back-to-back hits with 2 outs, it'll net your run. Net your run closer. An opportunity to tie this up. JT fights it off. Both hits tonight. Going to right. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. I find it very interesting that Strasburg has essentially bailed on his changeup this inning. Here in the 5th, has not thrown one yet. And as effective as the changeup has been, he's picked up 6 strikeouts on the pitch. He'd thrown 18, but somewhere in this sequencing here, he's committed to going in a different direction. Well, the Marlins are capitalizing on that direction.
So after 3 consecutive 2-out hits, the Marlins have the tying run 90 feet away for Peter O'Brien, who swings and misses, and it was O'Brien who connected on a solo home run back in the 2nd that got the Marlins on the board. That's low, 2-1. And there are the calisthenics of the entire Nationals bullpen. It's like a CrossFit studio out there. It's what it looks like.
They do it all together.
Kind of doing their own thing, but they're all getting ready in their own way.
You know, in that car filled with all the people, like the really small car, and there's like 15 people in it, and everybody spills out, and they do some sort of thing.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. Like everybody's sitting there watching the game. All of a sudden, the phone rings. Everybody jumps up. Everybody jumps out of the car.
Right.
Starts doing something.
It's hilarious. 3-1 is chopped foul wide of the third base bag.
3-1. He went with a slider. Brian's done a pretty nice job tonight. He's the one who's laid off the changeups all night long. Home run on the fastball. 3-2 changeup. His last time up. The walk in the fourth.
JT off from first on 3-2, and it's just inside as O'Brien works the walk, and the bases are loaded. Now to the mound, the pitching coach, Derek Lilliquist. 2 walks for Strasburg, both to Peter O'Brien. This inning started with a bunt attempt by Sierra and a terrific play by Anthony Rendon to get Sierra at first, and then a fly ball by Ortega, singles by Riddle, Rojas, a ribby single by Real Muto, and now O'Brien, and they're loaded with 2 out in a 1-run game. So it's Brian Anderson, hit by a pitch and a strikeout tonight. Has had his struggles this month, just 7 for 44 with 21 Ks, but can come up with a big hit here and flip the score. I'm sure that would make him and the Marlins feel pretty good. Trying to keep a 2-out rally going. Strasburg delivers. Swung on and fouled at the plate. 0-1.
Now anticipate Strasburg doing just what you saw there. Was able to pick up the strikeout last time on the 2-seam fastball, inner third. In fact, that's what Anderson was hit with. Strasburg's game plan against VA: keep his hands tight to his body. So many times this season we've seen Brian Anderson go up the middle the other way, just about every type of pitch.
Quickly 0-2. Nationals left the bases loaded in the first and second innings. The Marlins trying to avoid doing that here in the fifth.
Oh boy. Now back-to-back changeups from Strasburg. He's laying off. He stayed tight the entire at bat.
Inside, count runs full. The Marlins will be able to start the merry-go-round with the bases loaded. And a full count, 2 outs.
Strasburg missing to the same side of the plate that Alcantara struggled with so much tonight. That arm side. Too much run.
Three-2 pitch. Fouled away.
Now for Strasburg, the stress has been high here later in this ball game, I should say. We're only about halfway through innings 1, 2, and 3. 39 pitches, innings 4 and 5, 50.
Swung on and missed for strike 3. Everything in that bat was in or third or off the plate. And he gets Anderson to strike out on 95. But the Marlins get one back and trail it 3-2. In a tight ball game.
Miami, join us for our final neighborhood nights of 2018. Saturday, we are inviting residents of Pinecrest to come enjoy an evening at the ballpark. On Sunday, South Miami and Westchester are invited to celebrate their community. For more information, visit marlins.com/neighborhood.
So Marlins get one back, trail it by a run as Tyler Kinley comes in, his 10th game overall this season. But with the Marlins, we have seen a big arm, big slider, and he's got some big outs. See if he can keep it going here.
Well, he has been impressive. We've seen 96, 97 miles an hour on the fastball. Good command, good slider as well. You're right, he's been impressive.
There's a strike, 97 to Strasburg. Strasburg hitting for himself here in the 6th. And Adam Eaton and Trey Turner. Nothing in 2. A sac bunt and a strikeout for Strasburg. Heck of a pitch. When he's got it going, that is a terrific pitch. One away. Back to the top of the order for Adam Eaton, who has been a tough out. In fact, no out today. 2 for 2 and a single. He scored once, driven in one. Right back to Kinley.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
There's a strike at 99 to Trey Turner.
Tell you what, Kinley has been quite impressive, not just tonight, but since he's arrived here in Miami. He's given up a run since he put on the Marlins uniform.
The second time.
Second time.
Right. Rule 5 pick of the Minnesota Twins, who returned him, and yeah, he has been phenomenal. From Plantation, Florida. To Barry University. Trying to retire another Florida kid. Instead, he hits him.
That's in the helmet.
That was at 87. I'm
That's the slider
guessing
out of the
that
hand.
was the slider that didn't slide.
Yeah, right out of the hand. See it. He's already up on his feet. That's so good to see. My goodness.
Yeah, right
about
back
the ear flap. Yeah. Well, at 87, listen, we're still checking on him down at first base. That's no joke. At 77, it's no joke. I think our reaction is to the fact that thank goodness that wasn't 98.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, it looks like he's going to stay in the game, and he's okay. Two outs. That'll bring up Bryce Harper. Three walks tonight for Harper. Runner goes, swung on and missed. Throw to second, not in time. And that is number 40 for Trey Turner.
Well, he got a pretty good jump. Ran on an off-speed pitch, even though the slide was a little unorthodox. Watch as he reaches, kind of face plants just a bit. It's been a rough 2 minutes for Turner.
Yes.
Oh, there's flashes of Kevin Millar all over it, didn't it?
Yeah, that not one of Kevin's finer moments.
Well, Kevin laughed it off, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Turner just got hit in the head.
Those whole team together, 111 stolen bases. That's second in the National League. They are came into the game tied for the best percentage of stolen bases. 80% success rate. There's a strike, 98 miles an hour, a ball and 2 strikes. Turner with his major league best 40th stolen base a moment ago in scoring position for Harper. Kenley trying to pitch around the 2-out hit by pitch and stolen base. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Low, 3-2. I imagine those gloves have loosened all that much, but I'm assuming it's more like a golfer on the green where he's just got that pre-shot routine. Not quite as involved as Nomar Garciaparra.
Yeah, you think he's not got a routine? Watch the bat. Look at it. He's tapping it on his shoulder. I think he's counting it. Look carefully. I've been watching him like a hawk all night long. I mean, he's been locked in. You know, that's one thing we've talked about. Yeah. You know, Harper's been in such a good place offensively since last we saw him. But the last time we saw him, he was still kind of dealing with some struggles. So I was kind of curious to see, you know, where the swing was, where the mind is at. And, I mean, he's kind of got that look like he's ready to do damage just about every time. And kind of noticed the bat. He's kind of, you can watch it. It's almost rhythmic. As soon as he puts the bat on the shoulder, watch him. He'll start to tap it.
1, 2,
see,
3, 4. Yeah, you're right. And they'll check. No swing. And the 4th time in this ballgame that Harper has drawn a free pass.
Now that is the 6th career game for Harper with 4 walks. And if you're wondering, it is not a career high. Not even close, in fact. May 8th, 2016, he walked 6 times against the Chicago Cubs.
That's
yep.
right. They walked him like 13 times that weekend, didn't they?
That's right.
That's a
they
close
walked him with
check, by the way.
That's when he was hot. In fact, now that I think about it, I did this game. I did the Cubs game.
And that set him off for a while.
It did. It was the ultimate respect game that I'd ever seen. Without getting off on a tangent here, but I remember the day because he was hot as a firecracker. This was early in the season, and Joe Madden basically said that day, under all circumstances, in fact, walked him a couple times, if I remember correctly, with nobody on base. Which, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was no reason not to go at him.
Right. It was the 90 feet was better than the 450 feet.
In fact, I think it was maybe a couple intentional walks in there or something. But anyway, it was a very odd day, and for some reason it kind of gets marked that way, as Harper seemed to struggle after that particular game.
Well, think of it this way, and I'm sure you do. You're in a rhythm. You want to hit. You'd rather have 8 at-bats in a day. And he went basically 3 or 4 days without swinging the bat. That will foul up your timing real quick. Base hit through the right side for Rendon. Turner coming around third. He'll score easily. Throw is cut off, and it gets away from Anderson. Rendon thinking about second. No throw from foul ground. So Rendon at second, Harper at third, Turner in, and it's a 4-2 Nationals lead.
Well, from the hit by the pitch to the stolen base to the walk to getting one of the hottest hitters in the game of baseball to the plate, Rendon, line drive, base hit to right. He continues to drive in runs for the Nats. It's a hit, an RBI, an E5. Rendon moves up to second base. Harper hustling all the way.
Now, the ball was cut off by Riddle, and that kind of high third angle that we saw, it looked like it might have been tailing to the home plate side of third base. And Soto pops one foul down the left field line.
We have a hard perspective on that from where we sit in order to see whether that throw was on line or not. So you have to trust the people that are doing their job on the field. I think what you're getting at right there is it looked like that throw was going to nab him at third base if it was on line. Of course, we can't tell nearly as much as JT can.
Oh, and 1 to Soto. Foul away again. So it's a single for Rendon, an RBI, and a An error on Brian Anderson for missing the throw from Riddle that got Rendon to second. Soto 0 for 3 today. Strikeout, 2 groundouts. Called strike 3. Couple of strikeouts in the inning for Kinley, but one more run for the Nats, who lead it by a pair. Second cycle of the 2018 season, both against the Cincinnati Reds, by the way. The only guy to ever do it against one team in the same year. But how about this? 2 cycles in one season. Aaron Hill a few years ago, Babe Herman in 1931, John Riley in 1883, and who could forget Tip O'Neill in 1887. That St. Louis Browns team was
juggernaut.
One to be reckoned with. My goodness. Lewis Brinson to lead things off against Steven Strasburg, who has a 2-run lead once again. Brinson, Dean, and Sierra. You know how we're always batting around all kinds of different Tip O'Neill facts when we're on the plane?
Constantly.
Oh, my goodness. It's just a rat-a-tat-tat of Tip O'Neill facts. Well, the day has finally come for us to truly put it to the test in a much more public forum. Because after this Lewis Brinson at bat, we will be playing, I don't know if it's America's favorite game yet, but it's definitely South Florida's favorite game.
It's ours. It's our favorite game. So,
well, yeah, but
it's all that matters.
You know what we need to do?
No.
All right.
No, you asked a question.
We need to, this offseason, we need to, like, come up with, in front of like a green screen, come up with like a show open for this game show that we're about to play. Really add some juice.
Well, we can talk about it during the off-season workouts.
Oh, right. Yeah, I heard about those. Throw to break Thursdays.
Throw to break Thursdays.
Right. Those are good. Sell the promo Sundays.
I practice those things.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to let you off the hook with rookie. Listen, just because you shed rookie status doesn't mean that you get to
it's hard
get away
to get
from
here.
the
It's
workout.
harder to stay.
Listen, players go to spring training. They got to work out during the winter.
All right, folks, it's time for Which Is It True about Tip O'Neill. He was a slugger known as Canada's Babe Ruth. He had a 4.9 WAR rating in 1886. He played in 1887 the World Series with the St. Louis Browns and lost to the Detroit Wolverines. He was once knocked out an opposing pitcher who beamed him. Future Speaker of the House Thomas Tip O'Neill got the nickname from him, where he died of a heart attack while riding a streetcar in Montreal. As Austin Dean is out by a step, 2 away. All right, so which one is not true about Tip O'Neill?
He's not Canada's Babe Ruth.
You don't think so?
Nope.
I don't. He looks like such a fine gentleman there with that haircut that he's got. I don't think he would ever knock out an opposing pitcher who beamed him. Why would you do that, Holly?
Wow, there you go. Nicely done.
After all the hours that we have talked Tip O'Neill this year.
I got it wrong.
How could you let that one go?
I missed it.
Oh.
I don't, listen, he's not Canada's Babe Ruth either, as far as I'm concerned.
Listen, you pose for a photo with a wool blazer like that, you're not punching anybody in the face. Let me tell you right now.
You're right. That's a good read on your part. Yeah. I didn't check out the photographic dispositions
I'm saying
that he possessed. I probably should have paid a little more attention. I was busy looking at the choices.
Me too. Upstairs to Sierra.
You're right. That face wouldn't punch somebody out, would it?
No, of course not. And of course, as we both know, again, we've thrown this around quite a bit, that the Tip O'Neill Award is the best Canadian-born player, which is Joey Votto, who has won it 7 times.
But I didn't think of it connected to Babe Ruth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was before, so I thought he was kind of doing a little time thing there.
Right. I'm being told that someone has won it 3 times. I'm thinking Larry Walker.
Probably. Good guess. Former teammate.
Or Justin Morneau. Larry Walker won it 9 times, not 3 times.
Makes a little more sense.
Justin Morneau won it 3 times. Eric Gagne's got a couple. Ryan Dempster's got one. Jason Bay's got one. I mean, we could go on and on and on with these Tip O'Neill factoids, but it's 4-2. Welcome back. T-Mobile, built for baseball. Out to Atlanta we go. Ronald Acuna Jr. in the bottom of the 3rd, not leading off the game, but rather leading off the inning with a home run to center field. So he stays hot for the Atlanta Braves. His 26th on the season, but Paul DeYoung off of Anibal Sanchez goes up to get that one. A 2-run shot in St. Louis. Takes a 2-1 lead.
Did you see that right there where that ball went? That was a Cardinal fan and a Braves fan fighting over the young home run right there. And I think the Braves fan actually ended up winning out.
Probably wanted to throw it back on the field.
Well, maybe.
Drew Brzezinski takes over for the Marlins. Their 3rd pitcher after a strong inning from Guerrero. Kinley gave up a run in his inning back in the 6th, but it'll be Zimmerman, Wieters, and Defoe for Rosinski. Grounded to Riddle. 1 out. Bring up Matt Wieters. Walked and scored back in the 2nd. A fly out and a strikeout. 4 walks stand out for Bryce Harper tonight. Also standing out in the box score, Wieters' battery mate, Steven Strasburg, who has 11 strikeouts. Which ties a season high for him, which he set back in May against the Pittsburgh Pirates. May have thrown his last pitch as Justin Miller and Matt Grace are up in the Nationals bullpen. And Brinson tried to smother that one, going to fall in for a base hit for Wieters. And a 1-out base hit.
All sorts of desserts being handed out at the Diamond Club.
That looks good. You know me and desserts.
Hey, there's Chip overseeing everything.
That's right. Well, if he's like me, he'll probably take a taste totally out of selfishness and say, no, I just have to make sure it's good. You know, that's my move. You know,
make sure this is adequate.
Wife makes cookies. No, I should try it before anybody else.
For the
make
guests.
sure. Yeah, exactly. Just to make sure. You know, and then I eat half of it.
That's right. I do the same thing. Cannot lie, especially when it comes to the sweets.
Seen a few different things get handed out down there.
Yeah, I count 5 trays coming and going pretty regularly.
Defoe down on strikes, looking for out number 2 here in the 7th. So it's Andrew Stevenson to take the at bat for Steven Strasburg.
Stevenson 5 for 26 pinch hitting this season. Does have 7 RBIs.
Right center field, Sierra is able to make the play toward the gap. A crisp inning for Rosinski. 4-2 Nationals. in a 2-run ball game as the Nationals go to their bullpen after 11 strikeouts for Steven Strasburg. Matt Grace takes over, 52nd game for him. The lefty will come in. It will be Isaac Galloway hitting in the pitcher spot. He's in the on-deck circle. Then JT Riddle and Miguel Rojas.
Grace had a nice season. 2.80 ERA. Sinker slider. 92 to 94. He's been throwing the ball well of late. Last 29 games, 186 ERA.
So it's Galloway. 5 of his 11 career hits have gone for extra bases. Has the 3 home runs. The 6 ribbies. Right now, just want to try to get on base, get some traffic going. Marlins down a pair. And the way that Strasburg had gone for part of this game, between, this is the whole feel and real being 2 different things. As Galloway sends one out to center field for Harper. 1 quick out. The way that Harper was mowing down the Marlins at one point, and the way that Alcantara was struggling against, or the way that Strasburg was mowing down the Marlins tonight, and the way that Alcantara was struggling, it feels like this is much more than a 2-run game.
Right, it really does. Now the Nats, they've definitely had a lot of traffic on the bases, left the bases loaded a couple of times first 2 innings. Top of the lineup was turning it over pretty regularly. Harper's walked 4 times. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you're looking at and you're thinking, boy, it feels like they've scored 7 runs. Well, the fact is they've only scored 4. It's a 4-2 ball game here in the bottom of the 7th.
JT Riddle thought about the bunt and did offer 1-1.
Thought a little too much.
To left field for Soto. We check in with Craig.
Guys, last night we talked about a lot. We interviewed the anthem singer Silvio Plata, who has lost his sight at the young age of just 9 months. And Miguel Rojas happened to see our story. He was going to the restroom during the ball game, and as he was coming back out, he kind of caught the television monitor and heard the comment where Silvio said, "Hey, this has been an inspiration for me to go beyond and soar higher, even though I have had this terrible thing happen to me when I was a baby." And he caught that, and that's why he immediately wrote a signature and gave the bat to the young man, and then he got a chance even to talk to him on a later at bat. Miguel said, "I was inspired watching him," and wouldn't you know it, when he came up on that at bat, he knocked in a big run with a sac fly.
Yeah, it was really special. Talk with Mickey about that before the game as well. We'll talk more of that on the other side. A Florida Lottery call to the bullpen with a couple out here in the 7th. The 7th inning. And Again, talking with Miguel Rojas to piggyback on what Craig was talking about before. He said it really helped put in perspective, if I go 0 for 4, that I really don't have much to complain about in my life. I've got everything that I want. Really kind of a cool moment last night. Justin Miller out of the Nationals pen. There's a called strike to Miggy. So in Baltimore tonight, they are wearing Braille jerseys, which certainly interesting and kind of tied in with Silvio Plata last night singing the national anthem here at Marlins Park.
That's pretty amazing what they did in Baltimore.
Yeah.
See the uniforms.
'48th game for Miller. And quickly ahead of Rojas, 0-2. Single back in the 5th for Miggy, 1 for 3 tonight. Four runs and 3 RBIs in his previous 7 games coming into tonight. Toward right. Eaton makes the play. 7 innings in the books. Marlins down 2.
Top of the 8th inning. The Marlins have fans from all over the world, including Justin from Germany. Not only is he a big Marlins fan, he's a huge Don Mattingly fan as well, and he is an incredible artist. Take a look at this drawing that he did of Donnie Baseball. He wanted to have that autograph, so he sent it to a friend that lives here in the States, and he got that autograph earlier today. Don Mattingly signing that drawing that Justin did of him. So guys, now that's not only a very cool piece of art, it's a piece of baseball memorabilia.
I tell you what, that is spot on. Wow, that is really good. He hasn't aged a day. It's really just the mustache.
Right? A little gray here and there.
Still,
we all get that.
Not that much. I mean, it's still 30 years ago. Harlan Garcia into the ball game, 26th game for him.
Marlins snuck in last night and picked up the win. Marlins were flipping a deficit. Galloway in right field now. Robles in the box for the Nationals. 1 for 5 pitch hitting this season, 2 for 9 in his career.
The home run he hit last night was the first of his big league career, and it was gone in a hurry. Right off the 427 marker.
There was definitely a sense when he hit that baseball of how far is this one going to go? A no-doubter for his first one.
He was able to get out of the way of that one. Nationals thinking about, now they've thought better of it, but thinking about taking a look at it. I think you could hear Trey Turner down there saying it sounded like it hit him, but he probably don't run to first base if it did. Robles missed most of this season with a hyperextended left elbow, but still finished his 3 levels of minor leagues this year with that one foul just wide of the third base bag. Finished with a triple slash line. It's 276 average, 371 on base percentage, 370 slugging percentage at 3 levels of the minor leagues. He and Soto, 2 of the top position player prospects, and Soto certainly not a prospect for much longer. He might be a rookie of the year in the National League, but coming into the year.
And when you actually shed that, I think I've always wondered that question.
I think it depends. I think the difference.
Is there a statute of limitations?
Yeah, I think it's got something to do with like a rookie status thing. Once you kind of exceed the rookie limits. But then some, scouting services will re-rank mid-season or after the draft or the trade deadline. So it kind of shakes things up a little bit.
Because I mean, Robles is actually older than Soto.
Right.
And of course, Robles maintains that prospect status, if you will.
And he works the leadoff walk here in the 8th. He'll bring up Trey Turner. Strikeout in the first inning, but then an RBI single in the second, single in the fourth, hit by a pitch, stole a base, and scored in the 6th. So with Garcia coming into the ball game, just for scoring purposes, Isaac Galloway takes over, so that's a double switch. Galloway is in right. Showed you him at the beginning of the inning as they get another check on Robles over at first. Javi Guerra up in the pen for the Marlins.
Well, Trey Turner in the box. He's played all 152 games for the Nats here in 2018. If he plays out the schedule and ends up playing 162 games, he will be the last shortstop. Well, he'd be I should say it the other way. He's going to be the first shortstop in almost 18 years to play every game. Last shortstop to do it, an old teammate of mine, Colorado Rockies, Nefi Perez in 2000. I think just the space and time that surprises me the most. The game's maybe a little bit different today, but 18 years since somebody played, the Cal Ripken. Come on.
I know. 26-32. So he played in 2,632, and you'd be hard pressed to find somebody to play in 632.
Well, it always feels, you're right. I mean, I completely agree with you. It always feels like somebody's kind of hovering around that 400 mark.
To Anderson, goes to second, and they turn the double play.
And I'll tell you, that's a special double play right there with Turner running out of the box. Of course, he was kind of on his way to first base even after the swing. Nice job by Ryan Anderson. A quick turn, good throw. Rojas finishes. 2 down. Yeah, it always feels like someone's kind of hanging around that 400, 500 range, but then they get a day off.
Right.
And it just kind of resets itself. I mean, we don't have anybody in the game 800, 900, 1,000.
No. I remember Hunter.
Of course, you're only getting halfway there.
Right. I remember Hunter Pence had the longest streak going, and he got hurt, broke his forearm or his wrist early in spring training. So you knew that it was coming, that on opening day when he wasn't in the lineup that his streak would end. But even that was such a minuscule number compared to the Ironman.
Well, in an odd sort of way, Bryce Harper's had a very uneventful series. Well, at least in the batter's box, that is. 8 plate appearances, 3 strikeouts, 4 walks. He's actually put 1 ball in play. He hit it hard.
Yeah.
Starlin Castro made a special play over at second base, so much so we talked about it in the post game. But that's it. To bring back the series that we were talking about back in 2016 when he walked 6 times in a ball game. In fact, Joe Madden really got after him. It was a 4-game series against that Cubs a couple of years ago, early May 2016. I forgot this. Wow. 13 walks in the 4-game series. You're right. 13 walks, 4 intentional walks, as I kind of alluded to there. There were a couple of intentional walks in some odd spots that you wouldn't naturally see. He went 1 for 4 in the series with an RBI, but walked 13 times.
And he has walked 5 times in this ball game.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price. For just $49.99, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer.
Well, that's going to do it for Harlan Garcia. Florida Lottery called the bullpen. Out in the inning, the new Monopoly jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million, so unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. So Javi Guerra in to face Anthony Rendon. Sixth pitcher of the night for the Marlins.
There you go. You see the numbers on Javi Guerra. ERA up over 3. Rendon, a couple of base hits in tonight's ball game, couple of RBIs. All right, we've had Bryce Harper with 5 walks in a game. He's not the only man to do it this season. Rougned Odor has done it as well. August 2nd against Baltimore, but he had a home run. He actually got up 6 times. Home run and 5 walks.
So 5 walks and a trot.
There you go.
Popped up right side. O'Brien foul territory, makes the play. Garrett comes in, gets the job done, retires Rendon. And this game moves to the last of the 8, 4-2. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Look at South Beach. There's the original Clevelander, as it were, the one that's here at the ballpark. But inside the ballpark, some changes for the Nationals defensively. First of all, the new pitcher is Greg Holland. He'll face JT Realmuto, who takes a called strike. So the outfield, a couple of changes. Harper moves from center to right, and Victor Robles stays in the game. He'll patrol center field.
JT's had a very nice night. A couple of hits, both going the opposite way. One drove in a run. See the numbers on Greg Holland. Loaded ERA, certainly not the season he put up last year. National League Comeback Player of the Year, I believe. Was that right last year?
I think you're right. Yeah. Well, he was a late sign with the St. Louis Cardinals, and that did not go super well. That's one way to put it. JT sends one out to Harper in right. A few steps in front of the track for the first out. Peter O'Brien with nobody on and 1 out. The Coors Light refreshing finish. Get back to the 2nd inning of the game off Steven Strasburg.
I'll tell you, it's been an impressive couple weeks for O'Brien. Starting on the road trip in Pittsburgh, we started to see his power going the other direction, and since then he has really, well, we watched his confidence rise, and he's putting together quality at bats. Tonight's a great example of it. As impressive as the home run was, Strasburg tempted him on just about every level the next 2 at bats, and you know what he did? He laid off some tough pitches, walked both times. And let's be honest, I mean, Strasburg dialed up 11 punch outs tonight.
He did.
And everybody else was at times chasing the changeup, a couple of curveballs, and some elevated fastballs, but he put together the quality at bats. 2 walks and a home run.
And now down the left field line, that will fall foul, not by much. Third base umpire Pat Hoberg had an eye on it. Looked close from up here.
And you see him checking his bat, caught it just off the end. It was a breaking ball that he hit. He didn't hook it, didn't get out in front. Just kind of fell foul by, I don't know, half a foot or so.
Well, it must have been far enough because it's a fair foul ball down the lines in the outfield, so it would be reviewable. Marlins didn't ask for a review, so I guess it couldn't have been that close. Meantime, the 0-2 pitch, excuse me, swing, and that's how things are going for Peter O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen.
It's fantastic. How about that? It's second hit of the ball game tonight. Well, we talked about the big swing on the breaking ball. How about a half swing on a slider? Yeah, that's exactly right.
You keep talking about excuse me power,
right?
That's an excuse me single.
Yeah, usually when you say excuse me power, we're talking about guys who hit balls over the fence that aren't off the barrel. Now, he barrels this up, only takes about a half a swing. I bet you that's got an exit velocity over 80 or so.
We've seen Brian Anderson do that a couple of times this year. It works. It'll play. And now the aforementioned Anderson up as the tying run.
Well, just a friendly reminder that he will take a full swing, line a ball at somebody, and be denied a hit at some point in his career.
They all even out.
So they say.
You have an amazing eye, by the way.
What do you mean?
You said that was an exit velocity of 80.
That's what I said.
78.3, but I'll give you 2 miles an hour from
round up a little bit.
300 feet away.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, pal. Ball and 2 strikes to Anderson. Closer Sean Doolittle up for the Nationals. Andrew Steckenrider up for the Marlins. Well, if the scores hold here in Miami and in Atlanta, the Nationals could pick up a game on the Braves. Certainly time is winding down as Anderson strikes out, starting the day 7.5 back of Atlanta. Back for the Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day. We go to Arlington, Texas, and Brandon Lowe makes the play in right field.
Joey Wendell, get out of the way, man.
Right.
What are you doing? That's a great catch, I'll tell you. Well, how about the catch done more on difficulty than, well, what, grace, maybe?
Yeah. Well, we just saw O'Brien with an excuse me hit. That was an excuse me catch.
Definitely. Well, he had a human being in his way. So I believe Snell's got a one-hitter going tonight.
Yes, he is out after 5 innings.
Oh, he's done. Okay.
But in line for the win, which would be number 20.
So the Cy Young Award winners are going to be a 20-game winner in the American League.
Right.
And so we're going to talk wins, and then in the National League, we're going to have the guy who's got the fewest wins. He's going to win, DeGrom.
Right. Right.
I love it. Everybody's happy.
And both guys have a chance as Snell leaves the game tonight at a 197, and DeGrom's at Where's DeGrom? He was at 178, right?
That sounds about right. 171, 181.
181. Okay, so both guys could finish sub 2.
I think Snell's benefiting from all those starter starts.
Starter starts, yeah, I know. That's the thing. Isn't that something? We've kind of joked about this off the air. Like, the Rays, this team who has, I mean, it seems like 1,000 times this year, thrown a pitcher out there to start a game only to not see the second, and they'll have a 20-game winner.
Right.
So they've had most of their starters, openers, whatever you want to call them, can only get a loss.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that. That's right, because they're not going 5 innings.
Right, they can only get a loss, so they can never get a win, and then they've got a guy that could win 20 games.
Snell's hoarding them all. Well, I mean, he's pitching well enough to win, of course.
Right.
But in comparison, or maybe even contrast, I guess you could look at it this, but so look who DeGrom hangs out with. Elite thoroughbreds who all go 5+ innings, and Wheeler and the whole crew, Syndergaard, Matz, and everybody.
Unbelievable. This game goes to the 9th, 4-2. Hoping for a late rally here for the Marlins. Try to get both games of this short 2-game set going into tomorrow's off day. Reds in town for 4, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And, of course, Thursday, pop-out video all night long. Some notes and nuggets and facts and tidbits and all kinds of stuff throughout the broadcast. They'll pop up just like that. So pay close attention. Oh, who am I kidding? You've been doing that all year, haven't you? At home?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh? Did you say something? All right, well, listen, we were ranting and raving about Soto. How hot he had been coming into this series. Boy, oh boy, the Marlins have cooled him off. Soto 0 for 4 tonight. Well, he's come to bat with 10 men on base. As I mentioned, the 0 for.
0 for 4 tonight, 0 for 4 last night.
Did we show Acuna hitting a home run? I thought we did, didn't we?
We did.
All right, I've changed my vote. Acuna wins.
Just going to go back and forth, aren't you?
Well, until we get to the finish line.
I'll tell you what, it will certainly be interesting because Soto, certainly at this point, there's still a couple of weeks left, making a case for September Rookie of the Month, right? He also won Rookie of the Month in June and July. This one down the left field line and foul. He wants that one, but that was foul. One more look, and by about a foot. So he could have 3 rookies of the month. I think Acuna had August.
He was in between June and what was it?
June, July, and
right.
potentially September. Acuna
could have September too.
True. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that he had great peaks,
right?
And Acuna was kind of more solid all around. They've both been good. I don't think you could go wrong. If you had to vote today, I don't think you could go wrong.
No, you won't go wrong. It'll just be an injustice on some level. I mean, you're going to applaud the winner because it's going to be well deserved. But whoever doesn't win, I mean, they both have had phenomenal first seasons.
Right side for Rojas. Was yours close? I'm looking it up, not to put you on the spot. Was yours as close as this one might be?
I gained a lot of momentum. Now you can remember the circumstances, like when we played. Of course, we weren't able to watch, and I think that I just picked. I was on a playoff team that was pushing for the postseason. I got hot in August and September, and benefited from a lot of the attention that my team was getting.
Yeah,
I was doing it at the top of the lineup, so it was a pretty convincing win. Although the race is probably a little bit closer. I just, like I said, benefited from a lot more TV time.
Zimmerman, deep shot off the wall in right center field. And Galloway gets it in, but another double for Ryan Zimmerman. That's his 20th on the season.
You know, he continues to surge here in the second half. Cut fastball, instead of getting to that outside edge, stays more towards the middle of the plate. Zimmerman all over it, drives it off the wall, literally. Here it hit.
Matt Wieters takes low. Yeah, you had 105 points. Edgar Renteria was next with 84, and then Jason Kendall with 30. So, yeah, you kind of ran away with that one.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like I definitely, had a nice season in comparison with the other guys who also had very good years. I just benefited from getting hot at the right time, which, back in those days really did matter. You would kind of earn that TV time. Not every game every day was on, you were capable of seeing it all the time. So there I was in LA. Of course, we had the run of 4 consecutive Rookies of the Year in a row at that point in time, which I think drew attention to it naturally. And then, of course, the fact that we were pushing for the postseason once again helped.
Ball 4 to Wieters. 4-pitch walk, and there are runners on first and second, 1 out. It's the first walk for Javi Guerra, but the 10th walk issued by the Marlins tonight. Tommy and Nelly waiting for the WB Mason Marlins Live post-game show. Craig Minervini is lurking, hoping to perhaps catch up with a hero tonight. Maybe. Hit sharply to Rojas. They'll get the out at first. The flip to Riddle was a little off the mark, which made the throw to first a little more difficult, but they get 1. Runners on the corners and 2 down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This would have been a nice double play. Rojas quick. He got rid of it fast. Was just offline a bit on the backhand. Riddle wisely goes back to second base, assumed nothing to at least get Wieters there for the force. Does get the throw off. That'll bring Reynolds into the box. Mark Reynolds pinch hitting, 8 for 29 on the season. A couple of home runs, 6 RBIs.
Swung on and missed. 95 top of the zone. 0-1 to Reynolds. Marlins in the ninth will have Dean, the pitcher spot, and Galloway. They have Dietrich on the bench. They have Castro on the bench, among others.
Please.
13 homers, 40 RBIs for Mark Reynolds this year. Popped up right side. O'Brien toward the seats, giving it a look, leans and can't make the catch. Lost his glove in the process.
Well, this is a tremendous effort. Does everything right, gets himself into position, maybe just a little shallow. One more step, maybe a deeper step down the line, if you will, a little bit more. Still a tough play. He almost made an incredible catch.
May have broken his bat. Riddle able to track it down in shallow left center field. So we go to the bottom of the ninth inning. Sean Doolittle getting set. Marlins, their last chance. The bottom of the ninth inning. It's been a fun ball game. Marlins hoping for one last little run here. It'll be tough though against Sean Doolittle. He's been 24 of 25 in save opportunities this year with a 1.74 ERA.
Yeah, he's been good. How about a 53 strikeouts and only 4 walks. 41 in the third innings. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for in a closer, isn't it? Trying to do quick math here. What is that, about 14-1?
Something in that range. I don't
Yeah, a little less than 14-1 strikeout to walk ratio.
Ask Siri or do whatever you do there.
We'll save that for off air. Shouldn't be mean to Siri, man. She hears everything you're saying.
I'm sorry. I was told there would be no math. So it's Dean to lead off. Castro is in the on-deck circle. And he takes a called strike. 0 for 3 tonight.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, there you go.
Right in the media notes. I was just doing it right off the top. 13.25. It's strikeout to walk ratio.
When are you going to learn? I'll tell you what.
It's right here. First thing in the notes. Well, you catch it with your eyes, and obviously there's a reason why you catch it. And there it is. First thing right there in the notes. Opponent's batting average against of 181. Whip of .6. My goodness. Well, he returned from the disabled list. And I'll tell you, September 2nd, so he's just been back a couple of weeks. But he was absolutely on a roll prior to that. 15 games, 12 for 12 in saves with a .5 ERA.
Slowly rolled to Turner, throws and gets him by a step. One away.
Tell you what, Turner's got a, I don't know, to my eyes looks a little different. That kind of jump throw that he has doesn't really gather any kind of momentum towards first base. But watch, I mean, it's so athletic. I don't know if it's because I don't know if he's necessarily throwing off the wrong leg, but it's, both legs are in the air and the arm's kind of coming back, and he's some kind of athlete, I'll tell you. Not an easy play, but boy, oh boy, he makes it look easy, and well, maybe just a hint of awkward.
Starlin Castro. A called strike.
Yeah, you think of Jeter going in the hole, jumping, and the whole jump throw. I don't know. I think it has a little more momentum to it. All right. Starlin 0 for 2 pinch hitting this season.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. Generally speaking, keeps the ball up the middle, or at least to the pull side. And 3 RBIs in last night's ball game, including a home run.
One of the best games Starlin's had here in the month of September. You mentioned the 3 RBIs, had a walk. May have hit his, one of his outs might have been the hardest ball he hit. Certainly one of the farthest. 406 feet to center field.
Chase that one upstairs, and that's out number 2.
Well, that's what Doolittle's known for, the elevated fastball. Usually gets something to hit at least one time throughout the at-bat, but if you don't do something with it, he starts to climb that ladder.
Isaac Galloway flew out to center field his first trip. One and one. To the screen, and the Marlins are down to their last strike. 11 strikeouts for Strasburg, 2 for Holland, 1 so far for Doolittle. It's 14 strikeouts for Miami tonight. 15. And the Nationals pick up the win 4-2 and split this short 2-game series. So the Marlins will go into the off day tomorrow and then get set for the Reds in the last home series of the regular season. Back to wrap it all up, the Marlins live post-game show coming up on the other side of the break. Nationals take it 4-2.